Hey bottom pushers, my name is Nick and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. And this time we are doing nobility. So we've done Lotless and Lawlessness, which we may revisit to try and get a better ending. We've also done Faith, so Old Faith and New Faith. New Faith I actually managed to get the good ending on, so yay, it's the last time that's going to happen. So this time we are going to do the noble lot. We are going to become ennobled by the sword, hopefully. So our family will be nobles for generations to come. This has never happened before because my family reputation and wealth has always been in the toilet. So I went back and just made some notes on what I need to do to get into the college as it kind of enroll myself as a noble when it comes to youth. So that's done. Stupidly, before jumping back, I didn't think to look at what I needed to get ennobled by the sword and make notes of that, so I may pay for that mistake later on, but I don't need to worry about that yet. I'm thinking this first video is probably going to be childhood, adolescence, and youth, and then next time we'll do peacetime and the revolt. I think because this is going to be quite drastically different, I'm not sure how the split's going to be across the videos. I'm thinking this is probably going to be 3 videos because it's going to be so different. But I don't know. As always, I'm just going to play it by ear and we'll see what happens. But the one thing I know for sure is that I'm going to need to be a dick in this playthrough, I think. Everything I do needs to be around building up family reputation, building up family wealth. I've had a few people in the comments say about trying to maintain unity as well. That's important, so I need to bear that in mind. So reputation, wealth, unity, I need to keep them in mind, but also throughout childhood and adolescence I need to focus on perception, nobility and determination, because that will then get me my diplomacy and valor that I need in youth. So let's go. I also think I'm going to have to be nice to Gregor Brante this time. Ugh. I think that's the most upsetting thing, is that I'm kind of on Gregor's side. So I have been born. We are met with a soft open palm, a strong closed fist, and a lingering distant shadow. And I need to reach out to one of them, so let's kick this off with some determination straight away, which is what we did in the last playthrough. So as always with this, anything where we've already seen everything, then I will just kind of skip through it and give like very brief summaries and updates. Anything brand new we'll read through properly. So if you haven't seen any of the other playthroughs, go back and watch them, because otherwise you are not going to know what the fuck is going on. I'm going to reach out to the fist, which is Papa's steely grasp, but with a little hint of tenderness, because as stoic as he may be, he cares really. Also, something I feel real bad about is that Gloria doesn't have a chance in this playthrough. While Gloria is a full-fledged troublemaker, I always feel bad for her and I want to make her a Brante, but just that kills our reputation in a big way if I go down that road. So I need to be like Stefan in my approach to Gloria. Hide and seek. I'm only a little baby. I've been outside with Stefan and Gloria, my brother and sister. They put me in a bush while playing hide and seek and left me there. So we'll go for some more determination. We'll find our way home, which I don't think I've done before, thinking about it. So, okay, interesting. You get up on your feet, swaying a little bit. Carefully, you take a first step, then lose balance and plop down on the ground again. But you're determined. You get up again and keep walking in the direction Gloria went. You walk out of the bushes and further towards the wall of the house. And then the most tender and gentle hands in the whole world embrace you and pick you up. Mother has found you. There you are. You lean on Mother's chest and hold on to her with your arms. You want her to know that you came here all by yourself without any help. She pats you on the head. Your brother and sister stand behind her, clearly feeling guilty. Gloria's in tears. Stefan is staring at his feet. You hug Mother tightly. She's here now, because I'm a strong-willed little baby. It's the day of the Great Descent, and being the youngest in the family, and obviously with Gloria being Gloria, we are in a room, basically doing nothing but praying all day. Gloria is singing a song to the twins, so we can either finish the song properly, which gets us perception, or sing the last line wrong, which does get me determination, and I've not done before. However, I am going to finish the song properly, purely for the perception. So that's, as it says, we finish the song properly, and we see an image of the twins behind Gloria. Well, an image of something behind Gloria, but it's pretty sure it's the twins. Yeah, I want to try and balance them out kind of as much as I can. Ish. That's kind of what I did in the last playthrough, and it seemed to work, so we'll see. A lot of suffering. Stefan was playing with a wooden sword outside because he is of noble descent. He's allowed to do that. Being the way that the family is, I am not of noble descent. I am a mere commoner, and I wanted to play with Stefan. He got annoyed with me. He hit me, I hit him back, and a commoner cannot lay their hands on nobility or descendant of nobility. So I get in trouble. I'm going to do what I've done before and demand an explanation, because this gets my perception up, and I think fits quite nicely into the narrative. Because no, I want to be a noble too, damn it. So basically, Mum gets annoyed with me, and either way I get flogged in front of my entire family, but this kind of annoys her a little bit, but I get perception out of it, so. Gloria's rhymes. Gloria's gotten herself in a bit of a sticky situation, because she loves writing poetry, which, as a commoner, is just unacceptable. It is unacceptable to write poetry and have thoughts and feelings. So she gets caught writing poetry and gets in a whole heap of trouble. Before I've offered to write rhymes with her and comforted her, I think it's time I'm going to complain about her, because I've not done this before, and I feel it fits quite snugly into the narrative. Sorry, Gloria. You tell Mother this was not the first time Gloria tricked you like this. In fact, she often leaves you alone and hides somewhere. And today, of all days, she promised to take you to the old pond to watch the frogs. But instead, here she was, hiding in the garden. Mother listens without uttering a word. Gloria's sobbing grows louder. Is this true, daughter? Is it true that you care about your younger brother so little? Don't you care about your future at all? That's it. No more books for you. They're corrupting your mind. From this day forth, you will do nothing but what is proper for a girl of your lot. Sewing and chores. Mother leaves the sitting room in a rage. You run after her. Gloria stays where she was, alone in her suffering. Should have taken me to the pond, bitch. Hate myself already. I hate myself already. Little baby Nathan's been born now, and he is not giving Mother a little slither of rest. So she's tired, she's cranky, she's about to lose her mind. And you go into her room to give her some, I think it's her sewing that she's left in the living room. And she's about to lose her damn mind. So I am going to call Father for help, which I don't know if I've done before. You know, I have done that before, because I was always kind of a bit dubious about doing that. I thought Father would be a little bit aggressive about the situation, but he wasn't. He's actually very lovely. And he thanks you for doing that, so. Cool, and that gets my perception up a tad. Plus, you know, Daddy's boy over here. Toy soldiers. So I am about to start school, and as a reward for starting school, Papa takes me into town, takes me to a toy shop, and lets me choose something that I want. I see a little selection of toy soldiers, and it's looking like a good day. Unfortunately, there's a noble child who also has seen these toys and wants them, and he shoves me, and I shove him back. And obviously, we've had this discussion about commoner nobility. Doesn't go well. So I can deny the truth, tell him the truth, or admit my guilt. I am going to tell him the truth, because, I mean, he pushed me, I pushed him back. And I would do it again. I'm going to get beaten by the child, but you know what? Worth it. I get the toys and the determination. Father's sword. Nice. So we did have this before, which is weird because it was on the priest run through. I didn't plan on that happening, it just kind of happened. One day we seize our opportunity to grab Father's fencing sword and give it a little try. It doesn't go well for us, we end up cutting our shoulder because, you know, we're a kid playing with a sword. Daddy-O comes along and has a little chat with us about fencing and dueling and the dangers of it and what you need to be able to do it and everything about nobility and whatnot. But he says that you shouldn't be practicing right now because you are still of common lot. Maybe later in life, if you become more ennobled, then you can, but for now, no. But I'm going to ask Father to teach me the base. Hey, -10 willpower. Oh, I mean, I'm going to do it for the determination, but that -10 willpower is upsetting. Yeah, Father shows me the basics, and we do a lot of practicing in super secret, which is nice. It's a good bonding experience. But, that's ultimately going to really help with my valor later on, hopefully. Gregor Brante has returned to town. So, Grandfather is normally my most hated person in the entire world, but this time I need to look at him as a role model, which sickens me to my very core. But he's walking around the house basically telling Robert what a shit job he's doing at being a noble. And that culminates in him going to my room, finding the toy soldiers, saying, "This boy shouldn't have toys, he's a commoner," and throwing them in the fire. Which means we have some choices to make. I mean, striking Grandfather is always the one I want to do, but he proceeds to beat you to death when you do that. So I'm going to rescue my tin soldiers, which I don't think I've ever done before. And that actually gets me up with Gregor, so... I mean, I'm going to have toasty fingers, but no, it's fine. I had to get some determination out of it, so sweet. You run to the fire and take the box out. The wood is hot to the touch, and the edges are burnt. The pain comes slowly. Horrible burns on your hands appear a few moments later. Mother gasps loudly. Then suddenly, a heavy blow strikes you on the back. You turn around to see Grandfather towering over you, his walking stick hand. You stare back at him defiantly. "How dare you defy me, whelp? You are nobody." Furious, Grandfather wrenches the toy box out of your hands and leaves the room. Father follows him immediately. Yet, he sneaks in a hidden smile for you before he's gone. Man, he's such a prick. So, Gregor doesn't like Lydia. He doesn't think Robert should be married to a commoner. So he's decided, you know what? I'm going to find you a better wife. I'm going to find you a Lydia 2.0. So he arranges for a woman to come to dinner, and it's quite scummy. It's quite a scummy thing to have done. So Baroness Lodar has come for dinner. We kind of are all waiting to greet her. My option of choice is always walk away with Mother, or demand that Mother be introduced, but this is going to give me a hit on Unity, but it does give me a boost on Reputation. So I have done this before, I think. Yeah, I've done this before, and you are polite, you are the perfect little gentleman. You don't really do anything horrible, but Mama doesn't like it because obviously that's potentially her replacement. He doesn't end up being, because Robert isn't as scummy as Gregor, but still, it's not a nice situation for anyone to be in. So I will greet her politely. I honestly think this is the highest my reputation with Gregor has ever been. Ah, nice. So the kaleidoscope. With the kaleidoscope one, it's literally just you're playing with a kaleidoscope. The only option I had was to keep playing with it, which gives me 10 willpower, so good. I'm back up at 0 willpower now. Sweet temptation. Me and Gloria are being kids, basically. We can see Grandfather's sweet bowl, and he's gone for a walk. And commoners like us aren't allowed sweets, so we think, let's snaffle some of these bad boys. I have one. Gloria's just about to have one, and Gregor comes in, and yeah, he doesn't like it. So I can tell the truth, which does get me +1 with Gregor, and gets me some perception. I can lie. It does get me willpower, but knocks down with Gloria. I'll tell the truth. I'll do what I've done before. So it gets me a perception, gets me up a little bit with Gregor. Does put me in -5 willpower though, but that's okay. I think probably the most negative thing that's going to come out of that is that I can't save Sophia from the horses, but I don't think I was going to do that anyway. Yeah, tell the truth. We'll tell him that we had one of the sweets. His sister did not. Doesn't matter either way, because he's going to beat the ever-loving crap out of us anyway. Because he likes whomping people with his stick. Mama has bought me an ant farm, and we spend the day playing with it together. She uses it as like a metaphor for the lots and how certain ants do certain things because that's what they were born to do, and yada yada yada. So we can either keep playing with Mother, which gets us willpower, which is good. I'll play by myself, which knocks down Unity but gives me perception. I don't need insight because that's more for the priestly lot, which annoyingly I didn't even do while I was doing the priestly lot, which I regret. I didn't regret it because it didn't block off anything, it just meant I couldn't do certain options. I'm going to keep playing with Mother. I'm going to take the sweet, sweet willpower. It is time for my sacrament. So, the sword and the lash. So obviously, it is my place in life to take the lash as the lot of the commoner. Oh, I'm glad I took the willpower actually on that last one, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do this. So, yeah, I'm going to do what I've done many, many times before, because I need to take the nobleman's I need that destiny of the nobleman's sacrament. I'm going to kiss the sword, so I defiantly reach over, do the little sworder, and ultimately get whipped anyway and get given the commoner's lot, but I have put myself out there saying, no, I am going to be a nobleman. You can't stop me. So it does knock my perception down a little bit, which is not ideal, but that's okay. I feel like maybe I haven't been doing this that smartly. I feel like maybe my perception should be higher at this point, but it's okay. Also, god damn, Gregor. Okay, childhood done. I'm happy with my level of determination, not so happy with my level of perception. Really not happy about willpower either. But I've not died, so it's all good. It's all good. Adolescence.
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
Yeah, so I need to work on nobility in this one. The rest of them don't really matter. Obviously, willpower matters. I need willpower. But nobility is my focal point. Time to say hello to Thomas. Nathan gets in a little scuffle with the boy next door, and we go out to see what's going on. See his older brother Thomas, he's bigger than us. He's a bigger boy. So I have to decide how I approach this situation and try and defuse it. Come at Thomas and give him a beating, which I've never done before. You simply have to teach that jerk a lesson. Nice. The bold-faced bully is taller and clearly stronger, but nobody talks to you like that. You leap at Thomas and start tearing into him. He jumps backwards, surprised by your assault. It takes him a moment to compose himself, but now he's ready. His fist covers his face and he attacks you with a quick jab. It's now your turn to take a step backwards. You start trading blows, huffing and puffing with rage. The younger brothers gawk in awe at the sight. Okay, now the rest of it's the same. So Thomas is he's a brawler. We basically beat the crap out of each other, and then Thomas's dad comes out and says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then we run away. And in the midst of the chaos, we look at each other, start laughing, and think, you know what? Let's be best friends. And we do. Inseparable. Until I ultimately let him die at the end of the game. But hopefully I won't have to this time. Hopefully he will get to live. Time for Sophia to die. So Sophia, the girl over the road, she's gorgeous. We like her, but one day she's crossing the road and she trips over, and there's a horde of riders coming down the road, and if she doesn't move, she's gonna die. But sadly, I am all out of willpower, so sorry, Sophia. I mean, she ultimately ends up being a bit of a psychopath anyway, so Stefan has come back home from his time in the city and is very, very much up his own arse. But he decides at dinner, once the servants get dismissed for being too clumsy, that, well, we have other people who could be servants at the table, and points to Gloria as if she should be our servant. So I am going to make small talk over dinner, which I've done before. Oh, waha, Gregor, yes, baby. So this helps my nobility, so I, as it says, make small talk over dinner. I don't get involved either way, but no, it helps with nobility and with Gregor, so goody goody. Wow. Gregor is affectionate. I didn't even know he knew how. A dropped handkerchief. Me and Thomas are in like the town square, and there is a carriage that pulls up, and Lady Octavia Melanidas pops out, she's not only the first Archean we have ever seen, which are the blue-skinned race of basically higher beings than humans, but she's also gorgeous. But she drops her handkerchief, and what are we going to do with said handkerchief? Well, I can't give it back to her because I haven't got the willpower. I think I'm just going to keep it as a memento, because that gets me plus 10 willpower. I don't really need my relation with Thomas to be higher at the moment, so I'm just going to keep it as a memento. That levels out my willpower quite nicely, so it's... I've started school properly now. I'm at Sir Tibor's school, and it's just before our first exam, so I have to decide what I want to focus on for the evening. I can focus on law and history, theology, go help Thomas with our fort that we built, or spend time with Nathan. I am going to, of course, focus on lore and history, which I've done before, which gets my... I don't think, have I done that before? No, I haven't done this before, because I've never had to get my nobility up. So yeah, I'm going to focus on lore and history, and make Papa real proud. You push Nathan out of the room. He can't possibly help you prepare for the exam. Soon, your eyes start to hurt from all the legal terms and chronologies and titles of imperial edicts. You repeat everything, every single line of it, until your head hurts and your vision begins to blur. Your father walks in. He chuckles in approval. You fall asleep right there amidst the books. You barely have the time to wake up before you're walking to the menacing edifice of the school. Time for law. All the students sit still, glued to their benches in terror. The teacher's voice singles you out. If a commoner insults a nobleman's honour, how ought he be dealt with according to imperial law? Bring the commoner to the prefecture, where the judge will sentence him to corporal punishment. And what if a noble takes a commoner's life by negligence or whim? The noble's fined by the provincial authorities. Surprising even yourself, you give the correct answers to these questions and the many more that follow. The next subject is on the history of the Blessed Archaean Empire. You masterfully recount the history of every province as they merged with the Empire, from Monia to Margra. Then you recite the names of every Tempest who's ruled the Empire. You conquer every question the teacher asks you without confusing a single date. You get the highest grade in law and history, and an average grade in theology. You relay the teacher's praise to father over dinner. He smiles, pleased with you. Well done, my son. I can see how hard you've been working. Keep at it, and you will be among the Empire's greatest servants. I am proud of you. Thanks, Dad. Sons of the nobility. So, Diedrich is somewhat of the school bully. He has taken offence to Thomas just because he has to pick on somebody, and it kind of all comes to a head. Diedrich's lackeys are kind of holding Thomas down, and we need to intervene. So Diedrich says, well, hang on a minute, your father's a noble. You should be with us, because my dad's a noble. This kid, his dad's a commoner, so you know what? Come join us. Challenge him to a fight, turn him over to the teachers, admonish the nobleman's sons, or shake Diedrich's hand. Ooh, which does get the reputation up. So I can either do challenge Diedrich to a fight, or shake Diedrich's hand. I think I'm going to prioritise the nobility over reputation at the moment. I'm going to challenge Diedrich to a fight. Hopefully that's okay. You don't shake his hand. Instead, you challenge Diedrich to display at least some dignity by fighting you one-on-one. That is, if he considers himself a nobleman's son, of course. Diedrich's face grows serious. There's no way for him to refuse this challenge in public. Diedrich makes a sign, and Thomas is released and pushed to the floor. He gets back on his feet, cursing and itching to rush at them again. But you hold your friend back. The teacher of Imperial Law comes into the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. A day full of lessons begins. You keep daydreaming of Diedrich's face and how you're going to put an end to that nasty smile of his. Let's catch the bastard together and clean his clock. He hurt me, not you. The deal has been made, you tell your friends. This is a matter of honour now. Thomas huffs angrily, but agrees. Diedrich is already waiting for you in a narrow back street by the school, his retinue by his side. You walk forward and give him an opportunity to end this dispute once and for all. This is the nobleman's way. If you win this battle, Diedrich and the other children of nobles will never pick on the commoner's sons again. If he wins, you will never stand in their way and protect other students. You will fight him one-on-one. Diedrich walks forward uncertainly. You both roll up your sleeves. You raise your fists in a fighting stance. Diedrich tries to copy your movements. You hit him first. Diedrich does manage to land several glancing blows, but he's fighting a losing battle. He's never been in a real street fight. Thomas nods in approval. You've learned a lot from him. It doesn't take long for Diedrich to stop fighting back. One more blow and he squeals and raises his hands. You have won. You turn to the other nobleman's sons with a victorious look in your face. No more teasing. And if anyone else says so much as one bad word to Thomas, they'll pay. Diedrich's former retinue disperses silently. Nice. 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 Forbidden love. So we spot Stefan He's been doing a little sneak about with a lady who's betrothed to somebody else, which is just, high drama. We have to decide what we're going to do with this information. So I'm going to remind him of what being a nobleman means, which gets up with Stefan, up with nobility. Nice. So if Stefan keeps acting like this, he will bring disgrace upon the entire family. And that's normally my job, but this time, no, not happening. No, sir. You fold your arms as you face your older brother. He's confused to see you here. You speak to him openly. You know of his affair with Maria El Velasco, and Stefan should forget that young lady as soon as humanly possible. He freezes at these words. You keep talking. A noble cannot behave like this. Stefan is risking bringing shame on all the Brontes, and worse yet, he's defying his own lot and his own words. His honour, Maria's honour, the family's honour, it will all be harmed by his recklessness. How could Stefan have forgotten about this? How could he have let his emotions rule him? Why should you have to be there to remind a born noble about this? You, who were born a commoner. Stefan frowns, but lets you keep talking. You wait for his anger, but there isn't any. When you're finally done speaking, your brother stays quiet for a long time, and then sighs heavily. Yeah, indeed, you're right. I lost control of myself. Maria, I am a madman in her presence. I forgot the world when I'm with her, and I forgot my duty to my lot and my family. I'll part ways with Lady El Velasco and offer my apologies to her father. My brother, thank you. You've reminded me of who I am. From that day on, Stefan stops going out at night. His attitude towards you's changed too. He now looks at you with respect, as if he has finally come to see you as an equal. Even in his anger, he's now quick to recall your brave decision and stop himself. Nice. Pow. Not bad. Not bad. The Silver Tree. I'm on a school trip to the Silver Tree. There is a red-haired pilgrim who has come up to me and basically introduced me to the new faith, which is, I mean, for the record, the best faith. I can stay with her. I can follow the girl into the temple, which is Jen, who is very zealous on the old faith. Or I can leave them and approach the tree, which gets me 10 willpower. I don't really need to do anything with the faith. I don't really need to do any of these, so I'm going to leave them and approach the tree and get some willpower. The tree is beautiful. The silver-white foliage stretches and spreads towards the sky, held aloft by a trunk so thick it would be a challenge to walk around it. The leaves rustle and whisper peacefully in the wind. The tree seems to speak to you. You walk away from the odd-looking preacher and the young acolytes, ignoring them as they call out to you. You walk around the temple and the crowd of people, getting closer to the tree with every step. Then you extend a shaking hand and touch the bark. It's unusually warm. You can feel a pulse beneath the roots. The tree is alive. The roots are so gigantic. They form large grottos, spaces of air embraced by the roots in the ground. You squeeze into one of these grottos. It's unusually bright and quiet, shielded from the noise of Anazots. Right now, there is only you and the tree. You sit down. There are leaves rustling all around you. The only noise you hear is the beating pulse of life that flows through the tree, and this pulse beats in time with your own heart. You feel clarity and calmness, free of doubt and frustration. The tree speaks to you, or are they your own thoughts? So strange, unfamiliar, and eye-opening. These thoughts speak of soothing love, and of crystal-clear law, and of love and law intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. You stop slouching, and your frown becomes a light smile. Hours pass like fleeting seconds. You lose track of time until you overhear someone shouting your name. Alas, it's time to leave the grotto. The sun's setting over Anazot now. The day was quick to pass. Your teacher frowns, ready to scold you. You mumble an explanation and say you're ready to be punished for disobedience. Yet, instead, the teacher nods in understanding. You kept looking back at the tree all the way home. Whatever happened to you today, you find it difficult to put into words. I got a load of willpower. That's what happened to me today. Ooh, okay. This is going to be interesting. So, the shadow of the past, Lydia takes us aside and kind of fills in the blanks on the family's murky history and why she's a commoner and Robert's a noble and why Gloria is such an outcast in the family, also because of her father, who was an outright scumbag. So Lydia asks if we will accept Gloria as our sister, or now we know the truth, will we not? So I can accept Gloria as a sister, I can distance myself from Gloria, or I can evade the question. I need the nobility. This is happening. I don't feel good about it, but it's happening. You stand up straight, then softly and politely thank Mother for her warning. From this point on, you'll be more wary and prudent when it comes to Gloria. You're not a noble yet, but you're still responsible for the family's reputation. You understand very well that internal family matters could drag the family into dishonour at any moment. Mother's eyes fill with sorrow and understanding. That's right, Niklaus. You're right to put your family first. It's your duty to carry on the bloodline after all. No matter what happens to me or Gloria, I will always be grateful to this home for everything it's given us. Just then, you hear Gloria carefully knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother, Niklaus, I couldn't find you. You cut her off. You and Mother are discussing something important. Gloria should wait until you're done. Why, Niklaus, you're growing up so quickly. Did you learn that from your elder brother, or grandfather perhaps? Gloria snarls back at you, but still does as she's told and leaves. With a sigh, Mother gives you a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. When you leave, Mother remains alone by her bedside, thanking the twins for the gift of humility with a quiet prayer. Well, I'm sorry, but I have noble things to be doing. So Stefan has come home, and all of a sudden Nathan comes in and is like, have you guys seen Gloria? She went off to the ruins to do some poetry. And we think, oh damn, that's dangerous over there. We better go check to see if she's alright. Which is good that we did that, because she's not alright. She's surrounded by some ruffians, planning on doing ruffian things. So we need to do something about this. So I think I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to follow Stefan's orders, which knocks my willpower down by 5, which is alright. But it gets my nobility up, which is better than alright. And it gets me +2 with Stefan, so it's not bad. So yeah, we basically follow his lead and beat back the ruffians. We take a bit of a pounding in the process, but we win, which leads us on to the trial of the assailants. So it is because they were commoners and because they assaulted Stefan, who is noble. That is a big no-no, and they are now on trial because of it. Obviously, we know that they were actually after Gloria, and we were defending Gloria, so we technically instigated the fight. But Gregor has decided that it would be better if we just don't involve Gloria at all, because that would just muddy the waters, bring shame on the family, and complicate matters. We should just say that me and Stefan were out for a walk, and they attacked us. So I can support Father, which ups the reputation but knocks down unity. Lie to Father, which I'm not going to do. Or convince Father to change his mind, which downs the reputation and ups the unity. It does give me nobility. Also takes my willpower down and my relationship with Gregor. So I'm going to support Father, which I've done the last few times. So we don't like it, but we go with it. And obviously Gloria doesn't like it, but Gloria doesn't like anything. Ooh, nice, I am maxed out with Robert. Whew. This is going to be an interesting one. So Sir Gregor Brante, he's not doing so good. He is on his deathbed, but he still feels like he needs to right the wrongs in his family before he dies and goes to meet the twins. And his solution for that is to burn Mother to death. What are we going to do about that? Well, I can't stop Grandfather. I can either run away and rescue Nathan and Gloria, or, interesting, this kills me, so I let it all happen as Grandfather wishes. Ooh. Okay, so either way I'm going to lose wealth. But this gets me nobility, ingenuity, spirituality. I go down with Mama, but I go up. It means I'm maxed out with Gregor, which is just... Ooh. Okay, I personally hate it, but we're going to do it. Grandfather wishes to purge his sins. He has the right to do so, even if it costs you your lives. Oh, God. Ooh, got an achievement. Horrible, horrible achievement. You drop your hands as the grief in your grandfather's eyes pierces your heart. He's staring true death in the face. Those who grow old do not return from the hereafter. What fate awaits him there? The nobleman's lot is to rule, but his helpless inability to fulfill his lot, within his own family no less, is causing him so much suffering. You look at Grandfather's face lit by the lamp. distorted by unyielding wrath. His force of will astounds you, even if he's using this will to choose his own demise. To submit to this will is your duty. It's the duty of every single person in this house. You cannot deny him. The lamp smashes against the floor. The carpets, the curtains, the walls. It takes a moment for the flames to engulf the entire room. Grandfather's hands go up as he intones a loud prayer to the twins. You've known these words all your life, but never have they sounded so solemn. His eyes look away, high above, his face a still mask reflecting in the flickering flames. He smiles. You take Mother's hands. She's crying and shaking violently, yet she won't run. She knows it too. It's her duty to stay here. There's only one thing you can do for her, and so you recite a prayer to her, as loud as you can, again and again and again, until the acrid smoke finally fills your lungs and takes your breath away. Gloria and Nathan are fast asleep, so they will perish before the fire seizes them. This is your final thought before a lesser death claims you. Oh man, that was scummy. Hated this. Hated everything about this. First thing you see in the gloom of the family crypt is Mother's sorrowful eyes. This is your fault, but what could you have done? Without a sound, you mouth to her the very words she taught you. We must accept all suffering. This is the commoner's lot. And even at these very moments, you live by your lot, as you lay on the cold rock of the crypt and don't turn away from Mother's weary face. This is my last life. In the depths of the crypt, you find Nathan and Gloria reborn for the first time. They're shaking and crying silently. They have experienced their first death. Mother takes the children by the hand. You leave the crypt without a word and walk to what's left of the Brante estate. You belong to the common lot, so you must endure the lash of fate as it strikes again and again. The servants come in time to put out the fire, but the second floor has already been reduced to ash. It will be a while before the floor is restored. Thomas's family give you refuge for the night. No matter what happened, life goes on. The family estate was damaged by the fire, yet the family continues to live there. Grandfather's charred body is taken to the family crypt. Gregor Brante has died his true death. You go there to look at him. His face is covered by cloth, hiding its expression. Did Gregor Brante finally find solace at the pillar amongst those flames in his final living moments? Or did he die as he lived, an embittered soul driven mad because he could never truly live by his lot? Whew. Okay. Hopefully I'm not going to pay dearly for that death later on. We'll find out, I guess. Last respects. So, it's grandfather's memorial. So it's Papa, me, Stefan, and Nathan are going to take part in the blood rite. Blood tide, sorry, not blood rite. So, ooh, something I have never been able to do before. Because my relations with Gregor is so good now. So I'm going to ask for Grandfather's blessing now he loves me. Before you dare enter his blood tide, you ask Grandfather's spirit for his blessing. Nice. You grasp the dagger firmly, then quickly drag the blade across your palm. A fresh wound burns on your hand. Yet before you allow your blood to join the blood of your father and elder brother, you ask your late grandfather aloud, will he give you his blessing to become a part of him? Will he allow you to join the Brante family blood tide? You hear Stefan's indignant sigh. He doesn't say a word, however. Your words are a token of respect for grandfather and his will. Should you obtain his blessing, Stefan will not defy the late Brante patriarch. Then suddenly, you all freeze. Each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and yet he speaks to each of you separately. You will have the courage to ask me for a blessing? Well, so be it. You deserve an answer. To me, you're not incorrigible. You're half lowborn, yet you may make a worthy nobleman one day. I shall allow you to join my blood tide. But know this, I will be watching you always, and my shadow will follow you forever. Do not let me down, boy. Grandfather's voice falls silent. You glance at your father and brothers, astonished. Save for Stefan, everyone else is dumbfounded as well. You have Grandfather's blessing. You hold your hand above the opening in the wall. Your blood drips into the duct and flows further into the crypt as it combines with the blood of your father and brother. Nathan's turn comes. Your younger brother hesitates. Father offers to help him, but Nathan shakes his head. Finally, he makes a cut, and Nathan's blood mixes with yours in the dark of the crypt. The ritual is complete. Stefan reverently kisses the grip of Grandfather's sword and places it in the alcove above the sarcophagus. Once all is done, you leave the crypt together. Cool, fresh wind blows in your face as you return to the surface. Father stops halfway to the carriage and hugs Nathan and you briefly. Now, your blood belongs to the dynasty of Sir Gregor Brante as well. Ticking off new content, I like it. Return to Sophia. So she had... just remembered an option here I might be able to do, which will be interesting. After her lesser death at the foot of the many, many horses, Sophia was given away to a noble family as like a servant. Dorius Otten, who was her master, is, he's a piece of shit, but he was very, very, very abusive, and she's run away. And we know where she's hiding, so we go and check on her. He's also out looking for her with his many forces, so what are we going to do? Okay. So I can hide alone, which gets me willpower, which I don't really need at the moment. Or I can bring Sophia back to Otten, which I've never done before, but I think I'm going to do. Which means Sophia's merciless against me, which could come back to bite me in the arse later on, because she's going to be real mad. So the Archnean is within his rights. You'll render him a service if you can help him capture her. Sure. Why not? Sorry, Sophia. You pull yourself together and walk slowly to the half-collapsed doorway. Sophia stays behind. The tall, young Archnean stares you down, his condescending smile dripping with scorn. Your hand raises to point at Sophia's hiding place. Otten nods, satisfied. Then he steps inside, his fingers on the hilt of his sword. You follow him in tow. Ow, my ears! A silhouette runs in front of you. Sophia? You hear a high-pitched scream of rage. A golden light blinds you, a flash so bright it rends you from the inside. There's another voice in your head now, booming, screaming, "Halt! Freeze! Drop!" You lose control of your body. Your arms and legs, you collapse at the Archnean's feet. Sophia uses this moment of confusion to run past the nobleman and out through the door. Otten steps over you, cursing, and runs after her. You hear noises from the other side of the wall, running, screaming, and orders to give chase. You lie there on a pile of old bricks, completely unable to move. Slowly, the stupor leaves you. Finally, your knees can bend again. You get to your feet, swaying, and walk out of the abandoned house. The Archnean is standing in the doorway, shaking his head in frustration. So, she's a witch, is she? Well, I'll be. What a fascinating lass. I knew I chose her for a reason. Ah, there you are, youngster. So, how did you like your first brush with magic? Tell me your name, and worry not. You have my thanks. You tremble as you introduce yourself to Dorius Otten. You will go far, young Brante. You know your loyalties. You walk back home, lost in thoughts. Sophia's a witch? You recall how it felt, how her magic bound you by the arms and legs, how it took away all control over your body, how it made you lose the will to move. But that spell, you could sense something personal in the way it struck you. Was it hatred? Probably. The runaway girl becomes the talk of your district for an entire week. You overhear that Sophia managed to flee the city. The Ottens are furious. After this sudden appearance, she disappears from your life once more. You won't see her until much, much later. Oh, merciless. Brr. After what you did, Sophia realised that the entire world hates her and she will respond in kind. Oh no. Oh no. It is my last night before leaving for the city to go enrol myself in the Imperial College. So I have to spend the evening with somebody. So I am going to spend time with the Padre because that maxes out my nobility, which is very, very nice. You find Father in his study reading a book. He's been like this for as long as you can remember, always at his massive desk, surrounded by books and papers and letters, reading or writing. You enter the study. Father looks up from his book and gives you an inquisitive glance. You want to spend the night with him before you leave. Maybe he can tell you some stories about Eterna and his own studies, or give you some fatherly advice. Father smirks at that, as though he's plotting something. Have a seat, son. He reaches into a drawer and produces a decanter filled with rich, golden liquid. Barley whiskey, a nobleman's drink. I think it would be good for you to try it. Father pulls out 2 glasses and pours a little of the liquid into each of them. Take your glass and bring it to your mouth. The whiskey stings your lips and palate. Father clearly savours the drink. Father tells you a long story about his studies at the Imperial College. He had to study among the sons of the richest nobles from all corners of the land. He was but a commoner back then, and he had his fair share of hardships. When you ask him about living in the capital, he says it was difficult, dangerous, and full of temptation. You will have your share of time in high society as well. I hope the company of the nobles won't lead you astray, son. You didn't go to a boarding school like your elder brother, but I believe a good education and a good family still stand for something. Now, what else can I tell you before you leave? Father recalls the balls held in the capital when he was a youth. He even stands up from the desk and shows you a couple of moves. Their dancing was incredibly modest, all bows and side steps, no touching between the dance partners. But then again, he chuckles, those were the days when a fair lady could steal your heart with a single glance. You nod. If anything, you know that feeling by now. After he mentions dancing, he starts speaking of something that he's never mentioned before, Stefan's late mother and his first wife, Amalia Elborn. You listen to his every word, surprised by this show of trust. Oh, Amalia Elborn was the noble bird of prey of Anazot, and the ballrooms were her hunting ground. Everyone thought they could tame her. Your grandfather saw her just once, and then he was off to Baron Elborn to negotiate the marriage. I was impressed by her, and I was so proud of myself. And yet, I expected Amalia to be reborn after childbirth, but it didn't happen. And when I recall it now, after so many years, I see that the gods arranged it this way. Otherwise, I would have never started a family with your mother. Oh, how much I had to suffer for marrying Lydia. But she alone is the true heart of our family. The sun's about to rise. You should rest before the long trip. Before he leaves for his bedroom, Father embraces you tightly. I'm so proud you're an adult now, son. You're capable of achieving so much. Always remember that. You get into bed, your head spinning slightly. This midnight talk with Father, was it about your future or his past? Regardless, it will remain in your memory for years to come. Oh, I am a dignified gentleman. Okay, adolescence done. So I am maxed out with nobility, which is good, and I have 5 willpower and I've died once. So, not bad, hopefully. Youth time, baby.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the Empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
Okay, so diplomacy is 13, which is good. That only needed to be at 10. Manipulation's at 4, I think that's okay. Theology doesn't matter. Oh, Valor's at 17. Yes! Everything is looking groovy, baby. Hopefully. We'll see. Cool, I want to try and get a victory in the tournament as well, because I've done the fencing lesson, my Valor's high enough. I just need to fight for my father. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but yeah, cool. Okay, let's do this. Let's go get our youth on. So I have arrived at the capital, and my first night in town, what am I going to do? No, I may as well do so. I've done this before, I've met the noble youths before, so we'll go do this again. Either way, we're going to lose our willpower, but this gets my manipulation and diplomacy up, so good. Okay, so this is where our noble path is going to start branching out, I think. So we're having a night on the town with our friends, and they all kind of split off in different directions. So I have been to the Secret Salon before. I have been to the Markian Society. So we're going to go to the Dueling Club. Because we have never seen this with our own 2 beady little eyes. You march down the street towards the Dueling Club, which is located in a manor house decorated rather modestly on the outside, but lavishly on the inside. One of your newfound friends nods to the servants and they let you in. The rooms are stuffy, noisy, and filled with tobacco smoke. The sitting room is enormous. In the centre is an arena, a circle with wooden railings. 2 young nobles are fighting there already. You take a glass of wine from a servant and watch the fight from one of the many soft chairs. You can't bear a sword yet, but nobody says you can't watch. As soon as a jeweler is wounded, the fight ends. But the way they fight still makes the audience gasp and scream in awe. When a jeweler is too slow to dodge, the duel ends with a bright red line cut through his sweat-soaked white shirt. The thin fencing swords cut through the air so quickly, you only see glints of flashing steel, like lightning in a storm. You do your best to remember all the feints and tricks you see tonight. They'll come in handy when you earn your own sword. But then a tall, young Archnean enters the room. He barges in from behind you and leaps into the arena between the two fencers, thus ending the duel. He bears a coat of arms with a griffin. This Archnean hails from the great dynasty of Orgriff. The Archnean's voice booms as he challenges everyone in the audience to a duel. He sneers smugly. If you consider yourself nobles, then how about you face an Archnean lord in honourable combat? No one moves. No one dares step forth. A duel with an Archnean is suicide, especially if that Archnean hails from one of the great dynasties. Such a duel will end with a lesser death at best, or with a true death throughout trial and execution at worst. Everyone knows the punishment for spilling blue blood, and so everyone remains silent. The Archnean grins. So humans are cowards, he says. You'll never be true nobles if you're never ready to risk a lesser death. Then Archnean honour and tradition is not for you, and war is not your domain either. The human nobles are but a mockery, a gathering of animals dressed to resemble higher beings. A man leaps into the arena. He's tall as a tree. His pock-marked face is white with rage and covered in scars. There are whispers of reverence in the audience. This is Marth Verasti, the owner of the club. He's accepted the challenge for the honour of all human nobles. He's yearned to fight an Archnean all his life. Now is his chance. The duellers salute each other, and Sir Verasti begins the attack. A lunge, a jab, another, and then another. The young Archnean deflects each attack like he knows his opponent's every move. Sir Verasti's eyes twitch with tension. The owner of the club lunges again. The Archnean deflects his sword and rips the weapon out of the human's hands. Marth Verasti looks at the Archnean in confusion, then bows his head in recognition of his defeat. The Orgriff youth flashes a proud, superior grin. His fencing sword lifts the sleeve of his defeated opponent. It bears 3 black marks of lesser death. Now, the young Archnean eyes Sir Verasti with a mockery of sadness and compassion. Why, it appears the poor overeager ex-commoner is on his last life. Verasti shudders. He asks the Orgriff youth to be so kind as to spare his life, nobleman to nobleman. The Archnean's face grows dark and grim. His sword stabs deep into Verasti's chest. Then the Orgriff youth speaks, loud enough for everyone to hear. He is the only noble in this hall, he says, and everyone who saw this must forget the dueling club ever existed and leave this place, never to return. The nobles scowl, dress reluctantly, and leave with quiet resentment. No one dares to defy the Archnean openly. The noble gathering disperses outside. You return to your lodging house, lost in thought. Archneans stand far above humans. They don't care if you're a commoner or a high-ranking noble. In their eyes, you're only human. It seems there's nothing that can readily oppose Archnean power. They are the masters of this world, and humans are pale reflections of them at best. The trip to the dueling club ended on a grim note, but you learned a lot from watching Eterna's best duelers in action. You recall their lunges and blocks before you sleep, rather than the master of the dueling club being murdered in cold blood. Well, that's a good turn I wasn't expecting. Sophia has come to pay me a visit. Not to slit my throat while I sleep, like you would imagine she would probably want to do, but to ask for help. So, there is a man called Dexter, who teaches at the Imperial College. He is actually a commoner, but he has faked his paperwork to say he's a noble, so he is in fact able to teach, because if you're a commoner, you aren't allowed to, because you can't do a damn thing if you're a commoner. He's about to be found out and executed, so she needs help rescuing him. I am going to refuse, because that improves not only my valour, but also my diplomacy. Because I'm certainly not assuaging my guilt. I have nothing to be guilty about. She ran away from her master, how dare she? So I've done this before, so she's going to be pissy with me about it, obviously. She'll leave, and then we read in the paper a couple of days later that Dexter was killed trying to leave the city, so, you know what, happy feelings all round. But valour and diplomacy are looking great.
I will never forget that day. For it was then that I chose the path I would walk for the rest of my life.
Decision time! I mean, it's not decision time, is it? We know exactly what we're going to do. So we're on the way to the Imperial College when it gets shut down. Igerius Monroe comes out and says, no, you stinky humans, you're not allowed to be nobles anymore. It's heathenous. So he shuts the college down. There's a group of people that are kind of riling themselves up, thinking, okay, we can do this, we can overpower them, we can break through. There's the lot less led by Sophia, who are going to do their thing, or you can preach a revelation that you had while everyone was kind of amping up where the twins have shown you the world on fire. So I'm going to break through the cordon into the college. You lead the future students and attempt to storm the college. Cool. Let's do it. You get to work. Recalling the books on military tactics you used to study as a boy, you call out to the students and children of nobles around you and assume command. They hear you, and they listen. You stand together in close formation and march towards the weakest link in the line of nobles. More people joining you along the way. A veritable phalanx of young men armed with nothing but determination against the noblemen's swords. The noble militia readies their steel. The Archnean officer in command of this section halts you and orders you to turn back. You step forward and give him your reply. These people are here to study at the college, as the Emperor himself has decreed. You have every right to fulfill the Imperial law, and any nobles who dare to intervene will be defying Uther Tempest II himself. Your plan works. The officer hesitates when confronted with your words and your vigour. The noble militia is no longer ready to use their swords. This is your chance. You command your forces to focus their advantage in numbers for a singular push, and the militia line breaks. You reach the college gates. More people start running for the breach. The nobles get their bearings quickly enough to restore their line, but your phalanx is already inside. You waste no time and begin barricading the gates. The students who were stuck inside the college run towards you. You quickly tell them your plan. Block all the doors and windows with whatever comes to hand before Monroe's forces can get in. If they do get in, only the twins know what they'll do. One by one, all the entrances are swiftly barricaded. The riot outside the college has calmed for a moment, it seems. Through an open window, you hear Monroe giving orders to his militia. The Archduke is forming a strong perimeter outside the college, ready for a proper siege. Students and professors of the college go to the balcony to negotiate. You are among them. Surrender and leave this building. I am not here to kill or execute you. No loyal subjects will die by my hand. The humans boo and jeer at Monroe's proposal. The dean himself appears on the balcony. The imperial family established the college, he claims, and he cannot defy the orders given by the great Archnean Tempest dynasty. And so, the college remains besieged. The noble militia stands in a circle around the building, but there are no preparations for an assault. The outrage in the square continues. You remain in control of the college for the entire day and the following night, but at sunrise, the Emperor's herald arrives in the square. He brings news. The Emperor is delighted to see Archduke Monroe in the capital, yet he demands that the noble militia of Monia vacate the square and allow classes to begin at the college. Woo! The besieged college celebrates the news. This is the work of Cornelius Tempest, Great Chancellor, the Emperor's brother. He managed to convince the Emperor to order Monroe to withdraw. Even the Archduke of Monia, the most powerful noble lord in all the Empire, cannot disobey a direct order from the Emperor. Still, the college would never have held out for an entire day without your phalanx's determination and your daring plan. You, the people of the common estates, have secured your right to study and earn the noble lot. The college is open again, and the entrance exam will take place in a few days. You aren't nervous at all this time. All the lessons at home, the books, the schooling, your own noble actions, all that work and effort has finally reached its culmination. The procedure for appointing a provincial overseer, the 5 great Archnean dynasties, the property rights of all the states, you answer all these questions with ease. Hours pass, and the dean of the college reads the names of the new students to the young men gathered at the college steps. Your name is among the first. He praises what you did in defence of the college. People like you are the Empire's future, Sir Brante, he says. Sunlight fills the college square. It feels so soft and soothing here in Eterna, not as harsh as it gets in Anazot. You watch the pillar shine in the sky as you walk down the steps of the college. You are a Brante, the third judge in the family, the man who will soon join the family's noble bloodside. You have seized your rights to achieve the nobleman's lot. You should write to your father now. He'll be so proud of you. Yeah! Achievement! Like your father and grandfather, you enroll in the Imperial College, hoping to become a judge and nobleman of the mantle. Oh yeah! First time in probably, coming up on 40 hours, I've actually been Sir Brante. Bonds of friendship. So Thomas has come along, and he said, hey, I've joined the army. I'm going to be heading out. I don't know when I'm going to see you again, so let's be friends forever, yeah? Interestingly, I can't take the friendship ring this time, so I can swear an oath of friendship. So you take the ring that will bind your fate to Thomas and swear an oath to eternal friendship. Interesting. So it's basically the same, but different. A letter from home. As soon as you're accepted into the Imperial College, you send the letter back home. The family replies quickly. Their letters arrive in under a week. Most of it is covered with your father's handwriting. I am so proud of you, my son, and I believe your grandfather takes pride in you too. You have brought our family one step closer to being ennobled by the sword. You will make an excellent judge. I have complete faith in your intellect and your will. You shall bring glory to our family. Stefan's congratulations follow your father's. Congratulations, brother. The simple folk could only dream of what you've already achieved. You can thank father and grandfather for this opportunity, but it was you who proved yourself worthy. Once you receive your new lot, you and I will be equals at last. Then some words of praise from Mother and Nathan. You have brought your father much joy and made him so proud, and I am witness to this. You now walk this path all thanks to him. Yet it saddens me that you did not consider the Divine Seminary, where you could have dedicated your life to our gods as well as the Empire itself. You worked so hard for this. We held a big feast in your honour back home. I hope you achieved all you ever wanted. And at the very end, there's a small note from your sister. Congratulations. Good luck. Wow. Wow. Gloria don't like me no more. The ball. The ball, darling. It's only a few days since you became a student at the college. Your education has barely begun when an amazing piece of news surprises all the students. Every year, the Great Chancellor and the Emperor's younger brother grants an honour to all future nobles of the mantle and invites them to a masquerade at his summer palace. The professors and lecturers instruct you to look and act your best in order to preserve the college's honour. They tell you more about the ball too. All who attend it from the college must prove themselves with word or deeds to the members of the great Archean dynasties that will be present there. This means the reputation of your home province will be at stake too. It's time for you to get ready. You order a proper suit for the occasion and a mask to go with it. It looks simple, but by no means plain, and only hides your eyes. The day comes. You spend an entire morning preparing for the ball. Your fellow students give you hints about how to attach the cuffs, keep the collar straight, and make sure your hair remains coiffed for the entire night. Soon, the carriages start flocking to Cornelius Tempest's summer palace. The tall, ornate outer fence surrounds a sprawling garden in full bloom. The marble-paved driveway is so wide it can accommodate 2 rows of carriages. You and your fellow students walk up the massive stairs to the front door of the palace. You seem tiny and incongruous against the background of this scenic grandeur. The Master of Ceremonies instructs all newcomers to seek their province's coats of arms. You see the banner of Margra from far away, depicted by the silver tree digging its roots into the murky grey soil. Below it is a banner bearing the coat of arms of the Melanidas dynasty. It turns out students from the college were not the only ones invited to this party. You see Academy cadets lined up beneath the banners too, and Thomas is among them. A wide grin appears on his face when he sees you go under the banner of Margra. Oh, I knew you'd be here today, pal. What can I say? Congratulations, student. As for me, I'm not so bad off myself, see? The military academy is father and mother to me now. His merry speech is interrupted by a tall, proud Archean in a heavy cloak. You recognise him. He's Dorius Otten, Sophia's former master. Make way for your commander, soldiery. The last time you saw Otten, he was searching the back streets of Anazot by your house for a girl servant. But now the young Archean's uniform betrays his high standing. He's young, yet he's already the province's commander. Who put him in charge of all the military forces in Margra at such an age? What's wrong? You know him or something? A brief description of Otten is enough to wipe the smile off your face. You see no other high-ranking officials bearing the colours of Margaret at this party. It seems Dorius Otten will be the main representative of your province tonight. You watch the other college students and academy cadets line up under the provincial banners. The blue and silver banner of Arknea, the Emperor's own province, is in the very centre of the hall. Judging by the hilts jutting out from beneath their belts, many of those who surround the banners are nobles of the sword. Thomas is clearly jealous. A group from Arknea stands proudly. Ennobled by its iconic and dignified history, the Arknean race and the Empire originated in their very lands. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agricultural province signified by yellow grains on a field of ore. The wealth of the young men beneath this banner is plain to see. Their attire is on par with the Arkneans in terms of luxury, and perhaps even more vibrant in terms of colour. The most numerous group at the party stands under the banner of Illyria, a yellow griffin against a field of azure. All the Illyrians are clothed in well-tailored suits, with a minimum of decoration. Some of them wear gloves, most of them come from wealthy industrial families, and it seems many of them would feel more at ease in their family's factories than at a noble party like this one. 3 banners represent the northern provinces of Fiona, Hermia, and Constanza. These banners, like the groups associated with them, stand together. The Royal Tempest dynasty oversees all 3 of them. The students and cadets are clearly well off, yet they're dressed in modest, functional garments to honour the austere traditions of the North. And finally, the smallest of the groups is represented by an open book against Field of Argent, Astinia, homeland of the Diamond dynasty. By the order of Patriarch Unius Diamond, the open book of the new faith has been added to the banner only recently. Nearly all the young men beneath this banner are clothed in academy uniforms. They wear no adornments, but are clad impeccably, with nary a button undone, the embodiment of rigour and restraint. The Master of Ceremonies signals the beginning of the party. It's time for dancing. The first dance is a minuet. A tradition calls for everyone to dance. Harpsichord music fills the hall. The Academy cadets waste no time finding dance partners, and soon already making the fluid first steps of the minuet. You take a look around. One of the young ladies representing Margaret catches your eye. She's slender, like all Arkneans, and clothed in a yellow dress embroidered with emerald green, her face hidden behind a full mask decorated with bright green feathers. What happens next seems unbelievable. The enigmatic lady walks towards you. The way she looks at you, the way she walks. The black eyes from beneath the mask watch you closely. She tilts her head. There are no words, but you feel there is a question. Everyone in the hall is startled by a sudden noise. You look behind you and see Thomas getting up off the floor, his face a grimace of rage. Dorius Otten stands before him, eyeing him with disgust. His arm rests on the hilt of his sword. Who allowed this clumsy commoner inside the great Chancellery's palace? Its noble masters are trying to dance and it's getting underfoot. Thomas looks like he's about to explode in Otten's face, but the small Arknean sword is a clear threat. If your friend's rage gets the better of him, he will end up in trouble. The enigmatic Arknean beauty, however, quickly loses all interest in their quarrel. She comes even closer to you, expecting you to invite her to dance. Okay, so resolve the quarrel, which gets me up with Dorius. Draw Otten's ire upon yourself, which gets me up with Thomas and down with Dorius. Or dance with the mysterious lady, which gives me willpower. Octavia goes up, Thomas goes down. You know what? I could do with the willpower. I feel like the fact it's a full relation change is probably a good thing. And also, I am not getting in the way of Thomas and Otten. Otten's crazy. I don't need any of that shit. I'm going to dance with the mysterious lady. Thomas is a big lad. He can take care of himself. Maybe. You turn your head towards the Arknean beauty and offer her your hand, taking care not to rush your movements. A moment later, her fingers gracefully come to rest in yours. The masked lady's touch feels electric against your skin. You walk together to the centre of the hall, where the other couples are already dancing. You bow, and she makes a curtsy. Her hands are incredibly thin. They seem so delicate you fear you might snap them if you squeeze too hard. You adjust to her steps, counting the rhythm of the music. Your lady for the dance is an Arknean, a noble born to rule. Yet this is a dance where you must take the lead. As you walk around her, your eyes catch an embroidered ornament on the arm of her dress. You spy many thin emerald threads, all interwoven into a pattern of interlocking snakes. The young woman is Octavia Melanidas, daughter of the Archduke of your home province. The minuet ends. You bow to the lady and offer to accompany her wherever she chooses before the next dance. Why then, be so kind as to accompany me for another dance? Before you know it, the night is almost over. Octavia will not let you go. She doesn't accept any other invitation until she's danced with you 3 times. You spot Thomas in the crowd during a break. He catches your eye and salutes you with a wine glass. Judging from his lopsided grin, Otten must have had him removed from the dance floor. But any concern for your friend is forgotten when you see the beautiful Octavia approaching you once more. Okay. Maybe that was a good decision, maybe it wasn't. I honestly couldn't tell you. Sir L. Croix's lesson. Your studies at the Imperial College may have begun with a luxurious party, but soon you settle into a routine of lesson after lesson. Along with dozens of other future judges, you spend hours listening to lectures in spacious college halls with high ceilings. You study imperial law and legislation, analysing every technicality and interpretation. The subjects only get tougher, and the instructors grow ever more demanding as your studies continue. Yet, law is not the only thing you study. There are other disciplines as well, such as rhetoric and orthography. A true judge must have a perfect command of both the spoken and written word. Washing dark blue ink off your fingers becomes an indelible part of your daily routine. Of all your classes, you find the fencing lessons particularly exciting. Every lesson covers your body with more cuts and bruises and makes your muscles ache from exertion, but your childhood dream is worth it. Then, finally, there comes a short break in your studies, a handful of days for rest and recreation. You meet Thomas to discuss how you're going to spend this time. You'll come with me tonight, no excuses, Brante. We'll be paying a visit to our mentor, Baron L. Croix. This time you learned a thing or two about how we do things in the military. Your friend looks very cunning and pleased with himself when he says this. With a sigh, you change out of your college uniform and into your best clothes and follow him. Thomas rushes you to a 2-story house somewhere in the noble neighbourhood in the capital. Its windows are open, and you can hear people talking over each other. That's quite the haircut. The house's sitting room is filled with young people, at least 24 men, almost all of them academy cadets. In the middle of the sitting room is an armchair, and in this armchair is a gentleman wearing the uniform of an Imperial Legion officer and smoking a pipe. His thick hair falls over his large, observant eyes. Baron L. Croix. I'm going to call him Croix. Baron L. Croix welcomes the two of you with a slight nod and continues his speech while everyone listens respectfully. As I was saying, young men, I firmly believe that the days when all the military glory of the Empire belongs to the Archnean dynasties are long gone. Human nobles have been serving the Emperor at least as well as the Archnean nobles for a long time now. Still, the Archneans keep acting like their origins are more important than honour and service to the crown. Take the Melanidas dynasty, for example, the Archdukes of Marga. Long ago, their leader Shah Melanidas fomented a rebellion against the rule of the Tempests and the Twins' faith. He sucked all life from his own land, doomed thousands of his own subjects, and yet the Melanidas dynasty still rules over Margaret like nothing ever happened. Then suddenly, Sir El Croix flashes a cunning grin. I think this calls for a test of your strategic thinking, young men. But first, let me refresh your memory on the rebellion of Shah Melanidas. It may seem surprising, but we have him to thank for our current status. He was the first to ennoble humans, an act of unprecedented insolence, but it gave the rebellious Duke immense support in his province. He risked his own reputation and title to make himself stronger thanks to humans, and in that, he succeeded. No one had dared challenge the rule of the Archneans and Tempests before, but the rebellion of Margaret changed everything. Humans became part of the nobility. We got a taste of the power only the Archneans could wield before, and unless I'm mistaken, most nobles in the Empire these days are human. Why, we outnumber the members of the Archnean dynasty dozens of times over. So, Shah Melanidas had complete rule and control over the lands of Margaret. He had the loyalty of his ennobled human subjects, and he had the loyalty of the mages and witches who fled to Anazot. the only place in the Empire where they could hide from the Church. The Archduke of Margra had everything he needed to win, and yet two pivotal changes brought him down. First of all, he cast a magic spell that incinerated the entire province. It certainly stopped the Imperial legions in their tracks, but the population of Margra would no longer side with Shah Malanadas after that. Second, the clergy struck at the rebellious Duke with the power of the twins. His magic was gone, and his main advantage was no more. Many fled, but, as you know, it still took the Empire an entire month of siege before the palace in Anazot was taken. After the rebellion in Margra, the Empire changed drastically, and, most importantly, humans finally received their lawful right to be ennobled, and I'd like to stress that in particular, ennobled not by birth, but by virtue of their own knowledge and talent. History, young men, is more than just a memory of the past, it's also a lesson for our future. I believe that part of our history proves my point. And now, a test. Tell me, if you were among the Imperial strategists during the rebellion, what would you have done? How would you have fought an enemy as powerful as Shah Malanadas? With this, Sir Elcrew leans back in his armchair and takes a puff from his pipe while the cadets start discussing. Some take no time to say they can't believe Sir Elcrew thinks humans were first ennobled by serving the rebellious Duke. Others say the prolonged palace siege might have been a mistake, and storming the palace would have been a better choice. Soon, ideas start flying. Some cause only laughter, while others lead to debates. They're discussing the past of Anazot, the past of your hometown. You can't possibly stay silent right now. If you were in command of the Imperial legions back then, what would you have done? Based on what you know about the rebellion of Margra, you see three potential strategies. First involves calling upon the twins' miracles to rob Malanadas of magic and render him powerless. The second entails putting your faith in the discipline and valour of the army for a frontal assault. The third means drawing out the siege while making the enemy's life as hard as possible through cunning. Which of these three strategies would you have chosen? Interesting. Okay, so either way, my valour goes up. So rely on the will of the twins, press for a decisive assault, lay siege to the palace. I'm going to do press for a decisive assault. Relying on the strength and valour of the Imperial legions would have been the best choice. I don't know if this actually matters, but you decide it's time for you to answer Sir Elcrew. You begin by stating that you hail from the city of Anazot itself. The cornerstone of the rebellious Duke's strategy was ennobling humans, you say. This won their loyalty and formed them into a veritable army. An army loyal to its leader can achieve any feat of valour, so the Imperial legions also sought to have relied upon the valour and unity of their soldiers. Inspire the warriors, earn their loyalty, and take the castle by storm. That is the way. Sir Elcrew looks at you, studying you attentively. Brante, is that your name, young man? I will make sure to remember it. You are absolutely right. The soldiers' loyalty to their creed, their commander, their emperor, these are the things that make for an undefeatable army. And I wholeheartedly agree. A decisive assault would have brought down the castle and the rebellion's very inception and destroyed all their will to fight. And this, young men, is the moral of the story. Shah Malanadas was defeated, but not by the clergy and their prayers, and not even by the noble militias assembled by other archdukes. He was vanquished by the Imperial legions, a unified army with clear regulations and ranks and a clear chain of command. An army that is strong in discipline and loyalty to the Empire. Long ago, only Arcanians had the right to wield weapons and wage war, but now humans can prove their merit and earn the same right. Humans like ourselves. And the present Empire has grown even stronger thanks to its new warriors and functionaries. These days, humans can judge and rule and create. The terrors wrought by the rebellious Duke are undeniable, yet his rebellion created new possibilities for all of us, including you, young Sir Brante. He nods to you in approval, and then his eyes finally move away from you and back to the rest of the young men in the hall. After hearing him praise you, no one dares to argue with the battle-hardened officer. The evening continues. Sir Elcrew shares some of his war stories, each more astounding than the last. You join Thomas and the other cadets in sipping wine and enjoying his tales. You return to the college long after midnight. You often recall Baron Elcrew's story about the rebellion of Shah Malanadas after that. The rebellious Duke lost the war, and yet he brought about drastic change for humans and the entire Empire. Oh, my valour is maxed! which is great. That has always been my lowest stat, so this is exciting. The first case. You will become a judge one day, so you're sent to the Prefecture of Eterna to be mentored by a more experienced colleague. Your mentor is a judge of considerable age, a noble of the mantle with a proud bearing about him. He never misses a chance to remind you that being mentored by such an experienced man of office is a great honour. Your mentor entrusts you with his minor cases and, to his great joy, his night shift. Another night begins. The office is growing darker. You're still there, zealously filling out the paperwork for the day. A petty theft, a verbal assault against the noble of the sword by a commoner, a fine for the parents of children who covered an imperial institution with obscene drawings. Petty cases, all of them. But they are real cases a judge has to face. And so you sit there, carefully comparing complaints, statements, and witness testimonies. Then, the door of your office swings open. A gendarme drags in a provocatively dressed girl. Her golden hair is undone, and her makeup is a fiery red. Girls like her sell their bodies in houses of ill repute. The next to enter the office is a stout priest, his face adorned by a nose of a remarkable shape and a huge wart on his cheek. You do your best to avoid staring at it. Is this Alis and Father Mark? Because that sounds like Father Mark, and this looks like Alis. And we know that they had a thing. The gendarme gives his reports. The girl was arrested with a certain gentleman in the park by the Temple of the Twins. They were commuting acts of carnality, an affront to the faith. The huffing and puffing priest interrupts him and starts yelling. He saw her doing magic. He did. The gentleman was enthralled by the girl, and he was glowing like a lamppost. You gesture for the priest to stay quiet, and ask if the gendarme can prove this. The gendarme only shrugs. He didn't see anyone glowing. He arrested the girl for her sacrilegious conduct alone. The man in her company was a noble, so the gendarme couldn't bring himself to arrest him. He does, however, remember his name. The priest is huffing and puffing even louder now. It was magic, he screams. You must refer this case to the Inquisition. The witch was loose on the streets of the Empire's illustrious capital, seducing good men with her vile charms. The girl stays quiet all the while. Her eyes are emerald green, twinkling with gold as she looks at you. When she does speak, her voice is soft, like smooth velvet. It's the first time I've ever spoken to Alis. I've watched her burn to death, I've saved her from being burnt to death, but we've never actually spoken. My name is Alis, Your Honour. All I did was obey the noble gentleman's wish. He wanted my affection, right by the temple, and I dared not oppose him. I did not defy my lot, did I? The wench looks up and meets your gaze as she says these words. Her eyes reflect the candlelight in the dusk, sending sparks of gold dancing across the walls. The gendarme stands awkwardly by the door, sighing. The priest goes off on another rant. You tell him to be quiet. The day is not over yet. You must decide how to resolve this unusual case on your own. The law says a judge must investigate all circumstances related to a case. You know the name of the nobleman who was seen with this girl in the throes of passion. The gendarme was afraid to question him, but you are a future nobleman yourself, a young judge. Surely you can find a way to resolve this matter with discretion and get the information you need from the nobleman? But perhaps this suspicious lady of the evening, Alis, is at the heart of the matter. You have no doubt she'll reveal her true colours if you question her. If the priest was right about her using magic, the girl's fate is sealed. Your Honour. You look up from your desk and into the eyes of the beautiful Alis, and you suddenly feel as though a divine light is shining upon you. This emotion flows like a river. It lifts you up. This is more than beauty, more than passion. This is much, much more. Will you resist this call, or will you heed it? You don't try and use your witchcraft on me, missy. So I can find the nobleman. You find the nobleman who was allegedly in Alis's company and question him delicately about the incident, which ups my diplomacy, so I'm thinking I probably am going to go for that. Interrogate Alis. Something is off about this streetwalker. You have to find the truth, even if it's the last thing you do in this life. Even if it's the last thing you do in this life? Good lord. Or release Alis. The girl must not end up in chains. You will find a legal way to free her, because I love her. It's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. Diplomacy. I'm going to do this. I'm the nobleman. We shall investigate all angles. You tell the gendarme to take the girl to a holding cell. Her eyes are filled with chagrin and pity as the man takes her away. You compose a polite and thorough letter to Sir Diego El Catoir, the nobleman seen with the girl in question. Delicately hint that his reputation will be safe and promise full confidentiality. When you come to the office the next morning, you see a nervous young nobleman waiting at the door. You must be Judge Brante, he says. You meet Ursel Catois with a dignified greeting and start questioning him on the case of Alis the Harlot. Is it true that the two of them ended up in the Temple Park because this was Sir El Catois' wish? He says he barely remembers last night. He was quite inebriated and determined to have a good time. He spotted Alis by accident. She was standing under a lamppost by the temple. As for the Temple Park, he doesn't quite remember why they ended up there. You take his statement in accordance with established procedure. Next question. Would Sir El Catois say his mind was clouded by the young woman? The nobleman turns red. He asks quietly, Haven't you seen the lass yourself, Sir Brante? How could anyone ignore her? Still, you ask, was there anything suspicious about her? He speaks slowly. Yes, it was as though she could see his every desire, and he was happy beyond a measure in her embrace. It felt like the gods themselves were smiling at him, Sir El Catois. And yet, perhaps it was merely the wine and her beauty and nothing else. You thank the nobleman for his honesty and promise to keep his statement a carefully guarded secret. You sentence the harlot to 2 days in a pillory for defiling a place of worship with her depravity. You find no reason to refer Alis to the Inquisition, however. You write case closed on Alis's file and put it in the archives. Pop. Cool, that's fine. That is the most jovial music this game has ever played, and I love it. A great feast for all. The capital's preparing for a great celebration. The coming of age of Gerion Tempest, heir to the throne. The streets are being cleaned, the lowborn merchants are gone from the squares, and flags and flower garlands have appeared on the buildings. By the Emperor's decree, everyone will celebrate for the next 3 days. Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy will be there to show their gratitude to the Emperor's family for entrusting them with the power they wield. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind, the streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fill the air. You march side by side with Thomas, carrying the banner of your province. Your friend's brown hair is unusually well combed today. He waves to every girl you see on the street as you pass by. They giggle shyly, and some of them wave back. Did you see that, pal? Look at that beauty. She just smiled at me. Now this is what I call living. Oh, I love parades. The Tempest royal family observes the slowly approaching parade from the balcony of the Imperial Palace. They're joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and provincial overseers. You see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes. There, high above, yet so close. The columns come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with the mottos of the college and the academy. You join the other college students in crying, "Learning is strength, learning is will. School is fun." The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. His voice echoes across the square. "I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valour in service of the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace." The future nobles around you cheer the Emperor's words, but their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent when Archduke Monroe, the new Great Chancellor of the Empire, steps onto the balcony. Everyone here remembers all too well how the Archduke attempted to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Archean gentry. He's a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor, and so he is the Great Chancellor now. "Hail, your Emperor, common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth." The Archduke does not even bother to hide his contempt for the gathering below. Booed by the crowd, he rejoins the dignitaries in the back row. You notice one of them, a slender, elegant figure under an emerald banner with a black snake. She is Octavia Melanidas, daughter to the Archduke of Margra. Now that's new. You've noticed Octavia too, huh? Our Archduke Melanidas sent his daughter in his stead. That's a sign of disrespect for the Emperor if I've ever seen one. Is he so enraged because he's no longer the overseer of Margra? I mean, you can imagine he's surprised. That's never happened before. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Archnean with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Gerion, heir to the throne, ward of Cornelius. Promise and hope for the common estate. To the left of Geryon is his younger brother Flavius. He's baffled by the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he's seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subject. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the future nobles roar as one. All hail Prince Geryon. Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He's an Archnean, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colours. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Hey, look, it's Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's brother, and the new overseer of Margro, by the by. It seems that the Archnean elders want him as far from the throne as possible, just like his older brother Cornelius. Those two have been promising too many freedoms to commoners like you and me. Long live Prince Geryon! Students of the college, cadets of the academy, time and time again you have proven yourself to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of celebration, and in honour of Prince Geryon, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Geryon also remains still, awaiting a reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monrogue briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. But the columns stay where they are. That's not what Gaius Tempest said. Let the Emperor hear us. The law. We ask for the law. Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd, and some of the future nobles refuse to follow the Archduke's orders. There are shouts heard here and there. The law! We ask for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade. But tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. You have to decide where you stand here. Oh no, I'm just going to demand my rights. That seems like the correct thing to be doing. You join the call to have your rights to nobility codified, because, goddammit, I want to be a noble. Goddamn it, sorry. You call out in support of Gaius Tempest's call for the law. You have the right to be heard, and you have the right to ask. Your voice grows stronger. Soon, others join you. The chant grows louder with every second. The law! The law! Inspired by the support of your fellow students and cadets, you move through the square and urge others to join you. Thomas walks by your side, waving his arms wildly, inciting others to shout along with you. The law! The law! You, Thomas, and other vocal students and cadets gather in the very centre of the square. Academy officers are trying to shout you into submission and order you back into the procession, but they are barely heard above your chants. Still, some submit and form back into the columns, but the impassioned chant continues, and you are at the very heart of the chanting crowd. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. You have to stand your ground, so you start giving orders to defend the cobblestones beneath your feet with your fellow future nobles. You assemble into a double chain formation around the centre of the square. It's strong enough to prevent the Imperial Guard from reaching the very centre. The commoners go running left and right away from the horses, but the cavalry stops when it reaches your double chain. They can't break through unless they're ordered to attack, and so they halt and wait for orders. The horses paw at the cobblestones. The cavalry swords are drawn, ready to come crashing down upon your heads. It's a standoff between the armour-clad cavalry and the unarmed students and cadets. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again, joined by his brother Gaius Tempest and heir to the throne Geryon Tempest. With a gesture, the Emperor calls for attention. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I have heard your request. There is no need to repeat it again and again. The Great Imperial Council shall review my brother's proposal. Now follow your lot and obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises to the ever-merciful Prince Geryon. These words from the Emperor are enough to quell the commotion in the square. The standoff ends, and the cavalry withdraws. Well, would you look at that, old friend? We did it. We stood up for our noble right and we won. That's the Emperor's word. That's what our courage can do. Voices from the crowd are quick to disprove Thomas. The Emperor never gave his word, he only promised to review the proposal. People begin to argue around you again. This time, however, no one wishes to disobey the orders from on high, and so the students line up in columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and everyone resumes the festive parade throughout the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther, glory to Prince Gerion. I'm invincible! Come at me, bros! The Way of the Sword. Your studies at the college come easily to you. Only now do you realise the importance of all lessons you had to endure as a child at father's expense. Month after month, you study the judge's trade down to the smallest details, growing more confident in your new calling with every lecture. There's more to your education than the judge's trade and imperial law. You also learn manners and courtly etiquette, and poetry and composition, and even fencing. On some days, you go with Thomas to a deserted patch of lands to practice with the sword. Then, finally, the day of your judge's exam comes. You send the test results to your father, and he replies with an appointment to a judge's office at the prefecture of Margra. Now, you have a new life and a new profession back home. You will return to your hometown as a judge. It's early in the morning at the Great Temple of the Twins. Your heart skips a beat as you step inside the temple. It feels like that day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar, and the temple is divided in two halves. But you're no longer a frightened little child anymore. You're now a grown man who's about to become a noble. The floor on the common side is there to cause pain. You feel the jagged edges even through the soles of your boots. This pain marks your final few seconds as a commoner. The priest stands before you. You kneel again. But now there is a warm, smooth marble under your knees. You hear the words spoken above your head. From this day forth, your lot is strength and will. From this day forth, you will rule and fight and pursue the arts. Now rise, noble. You place your lips on the smooth steel of the sword, and when you rise again, you realise that the trembling you felt ever since your first sacrament is now completely gone. You arise a new man. Your every motion now uncannily accurate. Your thoughts surprisingly fresh. Your muscles ready to face the fight. This day feels worthy of a poem. And now, you can compose one if you wish. You touch your back. The mark of the lash from your previous sacrament is gone, erased forever. You hurry from the sacrament back to your room at the college. Your father's gift awaits you there. A sword. Your very own sword. Now to celebrate. All college students are invited to the college tournament. Then a party. The sword feels wonderful in your hand, a promise to future victories. The tournament begins. The stands are loud with anticipation. Never in your entire life have you seen so many beautiful noble ladies in one place. But there's only one who attracts everyone's attention. The raven-haired, black-eyed Octavia Melanidas. The daughter to the Archduke of Margra has graced the tournament with a visit. She's wearing a dress of emerald green, her austere hairdo immaculate. She's surrounded by her ladies-in-waiting, all beauties in their own right. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honour he's fighting for. Many shout the names of their loved ones in the stalls. You know that many would fight for Octavia Melanidas, but the onus of responsibility is too great. You take a few jabs with the sword, warming up for the fight. Soon, it's your turn. All eyes are on you now. The young lady Octavia hides her face behind the hand fan, yet her eyes watch you with curiosity. So, on the Destiny page, it says, fight for your father. I thought that meant I had to kind of stand up for him or something. Maybe it means literally I'm fighting in the name of my father. I mean, either... Oh, okay. So yeah, this is the only way I win in the tournament. Either way, I go up with... Well, either way, Octavia is intrigued, because I'm an intriguing fella. So yeah, we'll do this because I want to win, because I want the destiny and the almost certain achievement that comes with it. You'll fight for the honour of your father, for you owe your nobility to him, which is true. I'm a daddy's boy at heart. You approach the stalls and introduce yourself, then you announce your decision. You'll fight in the name of your father, Robert Brante. You've earned the noble title only because he taught you well, and honour demands you dedicate your victories to him. The stalls grow quiet. Unlike the other fighters in the arena, you're not fighting in a lady's name. The first fight begins. The rules are the same as for any noble duel. Whoever draws first blood wins. Your first opponent doesn't put up much of a fight. A few minutes later, he misses a jab to the thigh. Your shirt is soaked with sweat. The hilt of your sword feels slippery in your wet fingers. Still, you prevail in 3 fights in a row, then prepare to face a new opponent. You know him well. He was mentored at the Prefecture of Eterna after you. He is an unusually quick and nimble fighter. Again and again, you find yourself driven to the edge of the arena to avoid his jabs. Then, with a slashing feint, you draw your opponent's blood. Another victory. To your surprise, you're about to fight for the champion's title. You will face Jose Pelletier, the best fencer in the college, with 5 wins in this tournament alone. Ah, he's the man that we can marry Gloria off to, eventually. Which is interesting. I love this, where like all these different paths are kind of crossing and people who have like cropped up as a one-off somewhere suddenly become a much bigger part. It's fascinating. Your skill pales before the mastery he's attained after months of grueling practice with the sword. He assaults you with a flurry of cuts, thrusts, and jabs. You can barely react in time to deflect them. But then you recall a bright moment from your childhood, your very first fencing lesson with father, the first man to teach you how to dodge a lunge. This memory comes alive in your mind. You stand more confidently now. You take a few steps back to catch your breath and study your opponents. This Pelletier is good at keeping his distance and following an attack with a defense, yet his movements are too learned, too mechanical. So you try a trick. First, you pretend there's an opening in your defense. You rush him. Then, follow your assault with a feint. This sudden, unpredictable attack catches your opponent off guard. He jumps to the side, but not before the very tip of your sword catches Pelletier on the right shoulder. He's itching to continue the fight, but a patch of red spreads across the sleeve of his shirt. Victory! You salute the stalls and dedicate this victory to your father, Robert Brante. Your fellow students pick you up and carry you to the stalls as everyone chants your name. The winner's reward is the tournament ribbon, and Lady Octavia Melanidas, the tournament's guest of honour, will tie it around your sword herself. The crowd parts as the daughter of the Archduke of Marlborough walks towards you. All this time Octavia has been watching you closely from behind her emerald fan. She ties the ribbon of honour around your blade. You have proven yourself admirably, Sir Brante. A worthy victory. Your father has every right to be proud. The son of a judge from Anazot. Who would have known we would meet one another here in the capital of the Empire? I must say I'm amazed. I will remember your name. The eyes of the young Archduchess follow you even as you leave the arena victorious. You will remember this day for the rest of your life. The day when you became a noble. Octavia Melanidas has taken an interest in me. I was going to say she's only human, but she's not. That wouldn't have worked. I've earned the judge's mantle and the noble title. Go me. Achievement! Well, this has gone swimmingly, if I do say so myself. A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and Talrina rivers meet outside the city walls. You have barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. Your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations, and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. And now, you have to leave, and this thought fills you with a gentle sadness. Eterna did not become your home, and yet here you finally found your path. Here in the capital, you became a nobleman and a judge. Now you are one of the rulers, the warriors, the pleasure seekers, the creators, those who spill their blood for the empire and family and honour, those who keep and honour the age-old traditions. This is your lot now. You are to work in the prefecture of your home province as a judge. Your path to this goal was a long one, and your friend Thomas was by your side the whole time. You fondly recall your walks through the streets of Eterna, your secret fencing lessons, your heartfelt discussions. You have no doubt your future back in Anazot will be full of glory. And then you recall the black, enigmatic eyes of Octavia Melanidas, an Archnean from one of the great dynasties, a woman whose beauty and majesty make you tremble. You heard she'd be returning to the court of her father, the Archduke in Marlborough. Will you ever see her again? You will meet father once more. He tends to hide his feelings, but not this time. After all, you have fulfilled all his hopes, succeeded in your studies, and continued your family's noble legacy. Many things may have changed back home by now. You recall your older brother Stefan. Now that you've been ennobled, you're practically equals at last. This means you should follow an old tradition and bring Stefan a gift. And so, you head for the market district of Eterna. Can I just shit in a shoebox? No. Noble face? Yes. Stefan is friend. Stefan is good. Stefan is worthy of a present. Soon, you're busy trying out swords at a weaponsmith shop. There's a lot to consider for this gift. Stefan is taller and his shoulders are broader, which means that his sword must be heavier and longer. There can be no embellishments. Stefan would scoff if you bought him an extravagant weapon. At last, you find a suitable sword. Blackened steel, a subtle ornament of leaves on the blade, and a grip shaped like woven vines. It resembles the seared soil of Margaret beneath the silver tree. You choose the sheath with the same diligence. There, a light wooden frame bound in thin, yet sturdy leather will make the blade easy to draw, and the buckle is sturdy enough. You leave the shop satisfied. You leave the capital the morning after. Eterna, the city where you spent 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You don't know. The sword, a gift for Stefan, is in your hands. Okay. Done and done. Very successfully, if I might say so myself. So, 17 diplomacy, the theology. Manipulation's pretty low, which is maybe bad. Valor is maxed, eloquence halfway, scheming is kind of low. I don't know. Okay, which brings us to peacetime. And this is the point where we say goodbye for today, dear friends. I'm going to stop this one here because this seems like a perfect stopping point. But this is good. This has gone well so far. We are on the right tracks. Hopefully, judge life isn't too taxing or brutal. I'm sure I won't die as much as I did in priesthood, which was excessive, the amount of death that came with priestly life. That was unexpected and shocking. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. In peacetime, we kind of know what's going to happen in the revolts. There's going to be a revolt. We're going to have to do something about it. But peacetime is a mystery. A mystery I am intrigued to delve into. So, if you want to check this out for yourself, then the link to the game page is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and to everyone who's been watching along with all these videos and commenting. It honestly means the world, so well, thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and the like button, the freshly nobled subscribe button. Make sure you that bad boy. And until next time, love you, bye.